Hi, I'm Kent Allen, and I am a human being.
Hey there. Welcome to the Redirect Podcast. This is where we dive into real conversations, share stories, and just hang out talking about finding our purpose in retirement. We're glad you're along for the ride, and let's get into it. It's another wonderful day. Curt, Dale, glad to be with you. Another exciting episode of the Redirect Podcast out in front of us. Curt Vonnegut, an American author and World War II POW, actually, Battle of the Bulge guy. Pretty impressive. He is credited for saying, "I'm a human being, not a human doing." So considering that, my question to you is, how are you managing being versus doing?
I'm probably about 75% human doing.
Yeah.
I'm really curious, really adventurous person. You know, on top of that, I was always rewarded for being type A, doing things. You know, that was a really positive thing before they figured out you were ADD, you know, in these more recent times, and that they could medicate you. But being a type A person, you know, I loved doing things. And I was rewarded for doing. And you get into this whole mode of, hey, that's success. Success was doing. You know, but then when I became an entrepreneur, I realized I also had to become a visionary, which meant stopping and thinking and considering and being able to step back. I went so far as to hire an entrepreneurial coach named Dan Sullivan in Toronto, Canada. And every quarter went up there and was held feet to the fire to be present, sit back, consider, plan, still planning, but in order to see where the business was going out front, I had to be probably 25% of me became being and not doing. But I kind of feel that.
And how are you doing with that now?
I am, in my redirected years, much more present, which means I'm much more being, much more. And even this week, taking care of a 1.5-year-old for a week while my son and daughter-in-law are out of the country means every just about minute of the day I'm present.
Yeah.
Because there's no visioning what tomorrow is going to be. We're trying to get through today.
Yeah. Curt?
Well, the season that I'm in now is something I'm really not excited about, in the sense that it's more doing than being. And I'm a doer, just like Dale. Same type of personality. We share a lot of similarities, Dale, just in our personality, our drive ethic, wanting to produce. And, you know, I haven't really let go of that from my career days, and I'm still doing. And this season of my life, I'm doing a lot. I'm doing more than I'm being. And, you know, it's a question I'll have for our guest, Kent, later on, is like, well, isn't my being doing? But we'll get to that later.
That's doublespeak. You can't. It doesn't count. That doesn't count.
But you know, I'm excited about today's conversation, and after doing a little research on this, I've got some insights to it. But I have a difficult time fighting back my urge to do. And you've heard me on the podcast say that I'm getting better and being aware and seeing God in front of me. But I'm not making time to do that in this season right now. And that's hard for me.
You have to make space for it.
I do. My margins are so tight, and my time is compressed. And as a result, I'm focused on the task list of doing, as opposed to sitting back and laughing, having fun, and experiencing things in front of me. So right now, I'm not happy with where I'm at. I want to be more being because I'm a big doing right now.
Yeah, I think that's I'm glad to hear you call it a season. And obviously, you do what you have to do so that you can be when you want to be.
What kind of pressure do you think, with the average age of death is 84, does the pressure of realizing we only have so many times around this sun push us to be a human being or a human doing?
I think it should push you more towards being. But to Curt's point, we have a career, 40 years worth of doing. In Western culture, we're a high productivity, type A is glamorized and celebrated, high drivers, go. It's the way of life in an American society. You go to other cultures, and that's a lot less so. Additionally, we have no language. We have no context for how to engage with somebody and ask them, hey, how are you being? That's out of place as a conversation starter. It's how are you doing? So I think all of our context and social cues are all fed by our language. Our vocabulary around interaction is all about what's the weather, who won the game last night, and what are you doing in life. We have no exercises or experience in conversing about being. It sounds touchy-feely. We're not good at it, especially men. We're not good at expressing our state of being very well. So if I can take us off the hook a little bit, I just don't think our culture is geared towards it. I don't think we as men who are descending or having left a high drive, high capacity career, it's an identity piece. And I think stepping out of career into this being space is like traveling to a different planet.
So wait a minute. He's talked about the culture, and he's talked about everybody else. What about Adam? Where are you?
How are you being?
I think because I'm still in my career, like most people, I'm still dominated by the state of doing. Because of some of the conversations we had about things like contentment and being present and being aware, I'm more in line with a better state of being than I was, 2 years ago. But no, I think I'm still heavily focused on, doing, because I have tasks, I have checklists. I'm in the same season I'm still in a prolonged season of doing, and I have to allow myself to be while I'm still trudging through my career and all of the doing I have to do.
Well, we're very fortunate today because we've got a guy sitting at the table that knows how to do both. And he's going to give us some insights. So I'm putting you on the spot there, Ken.
Yeah, no problem.
We find these people.
Teach us thy great wisdom, O wise one.
Sounds like I need an agent now.
So let's get started here. Today's friend of the Redirect podcast is Kent Allen, who is 64 years old, retired, and a listener of the Redirect podcast. Thank you so much for doing that.
It's my pleasure.
It's really cool how this all happened. And I received an email from you, Kent, through our website at info. What is it, Adam?
info@redirect-u.com.
And Kent sent us an email saying, hey, I heard about your podcast. I've listened to your podcast, and I'd like to come on and talk. And I'm like, I like that. I think that's awesome. So we thought that we would bring you in here today, and we had a little meeting beforehand to sort of get to understand you a little bit better. And it's right along this whole topic of getting into retirement. You've been retired for how long now?
Well, this is for retirement 2.0. It's been about 3 months, but from the corporate world, almost 15 months now.
Okay, so a total of a year and a half.
Yeah, roughly.
You've been out of the career world. What was your career?
Yeah, so when I graduated from college at the University of Cincinnati, go Bearcats, I started working for General Motors for a little while. And then because of downturns and things like that, I moved into medical device space. I actually answered an ad in a newspaper. You tell that story.
Newspaper.
A help wanted ad. I know, it's crazy. I tell my kids about that, and they look at me like I got 3 heads. What are you talking about? But I answered this ad for an engineer, and I started working for Johnson & Johnson. And I worked for them for over 37 years. Wow. It was a wonderful career. I was actually very fortunate. The aspect of it is I was in new product development is what I was. So every day I had purpose. I was learning and growing, and the big thing is my purpose was there all the time, that whatever I was doing, I was going to impact somebody's life because they were in some kind of medical problem that they were having, and the work that I was doing was going to make it better for them. So purpose was so easy for me, and I got to travel around the world with it. I got to go into marketing, quality, all these different aspects, but supply chain is where my home was. And so for the last, like I said, probably 10, 15 years of my career, I was in supply chain, loved it from the aspect of how different it was. the complexity of it, but how much you got to really work with people. Because that's what it was. Except it was a 4-letter word during COVID. Nobody liked the word supply chain at all.
Yeah.
Talk
That
a little bit about what part of Johnson & Johnson, big company.
Yes.
Talk about specifically what area were you in?
Yeah, so I was in the medical device area is where I was at. Actually, here in Cincinnati is where it was actually developed many, many, many years ago. And we were looking at things from going from, you have an open procedure, appendectomy, cholecystectomy, those kind of things, to where it changed to be more what they called a TV surgery. You've probably seen that where they go down little tubes and they use a TV screen and all that. So I got to be part of that wave. And then at the tail end of my career, I got the third wave of robotic surgery. I got to go into that, and I got to work out in Silicon Valley working with brilliant people. I mean, I was walking into that, and these are Cal Poly, Stanford's, all of those. So it was a really nice ending to my career to be able to work in that space at the very end, because different part of the country, different culture, different type of product that was out there. The people were very different than the Midwest that I kind of grown up in. So it was a nice end to my career to be able to be working out there in California.
So 37 years of working for J&J. And did you do any pre-retirement planning while you were working?
Yes.
Why don't you share a little bit of what that looked like?
Yeah, so about 2 years before I was making the decision that I was going to retire, I knew I was getting there and I was trying to get ready for it. I started doing research on it. And I found there are 4 aspects of retirement that you really have to be concerned about. Obviously, the financial aspect. That's what everybody plans for. The second thing is basically your health. I mean, people do not realize as you age, and I've felt it very much so in the last 5 years, your health changes. So you have to be concerned about that and focus on that. Dale, you go to a trainer because of that. So you can be able to enjoy life and be with your grandchildren. The third one is the social aspect. When you leave work, leave the corporate world, you're leaving your social area is what it is. So how are you going to create that new social aspect of your life that you have to kind of fill in for that's no longer there? And then finally, the last part was purpose. If you don't have a reason to get out of bed every morning, which I did when I was in the corporate world, I was like, okay, I know what my purpose is. In retirement, you got to have something the same way so that you get out of bed. So I did a lot of research in that. I read some books, kind of came up with, I didn't go with a plan.
Darn it.
I know.
Darn it. I thought I had somebody I could really dive deep with.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
Welcome to my world.
I did a strategy is what I did. I looked at it more because, plans, I'm project management background, and plans, they're only about 80% good because things just fall apart on things. So I did it with a strategic intent is what I was doing. It's like, okay, how am I doing in each of those 4 areas? So financial, I'm like, yep, I could retire today. I'm good. Health, yeah, I work out. I go to doctors when I need to. I keep myself healthy. Social, yeah, I'm pretty good there. I lead a small group. I do things outside of work. I had my social group there. Purpose, I went, yikes. What is going to be that thing or things that I wanted to do? And the thing that I did strategically for me is I said, I need to put myself out there is what it is. So instead of waiting for everything to hit me, which a lot of times in the corporate world it does, people are coming to you telling you what to do, I basically put myself out there and told people that, in some of the things that I was involved with, hey, I'm retiring. I'm going to have more time in my hands. I'd like to help more. What can I do? And it opened doors is what it is. And I think that was the biggest learning for me is people aren't, once you retire, people aren't going to be coming clamoring at your door saying, hey, you're retired, come with us now. Go do this thing with us.
Except AARP.
And the healthcare supplement companies too, right?
Yeah, those guys, they're very interested.
Well, I said when you retire, there's only really 2 things you really have to worry about is paying your taxes and picking your Medicare supplement plan. That's it. That's your all you have
and
to do.
Listening to the Redirect
and
podcast.
The Redirect podcast, exactly. Check, did that today. So from that aspect of being able to put myself out there, that really opened the doors to that. So, some of the things that I got involved with, my old company, when I first told them I'm going to retire, my boss said, no, you're not. He says, I want you to hang on for a little while. What's the longest you can hang on? I said, well, I'll give you 9 more months is what I do. So you can find somebody and all that kind of thing.
You set a date.
It set a date. End of the year, 12/31/2024 was the last day.
There
is
you
what
go.
it was.
There you go.
But my boss said, hey, would you be interested in helping us out still on the side as a consultant for us? So that opened one door. I had a fraternity brother who I went to him and said, hey, I know you're working in the fraternity and the foundation and all that. I'm going to retire. What can I do there? That opened a door. So I think that was the big lesson for me with all the 4 things of retirement. Letting people know that you're available, that you've got time to do things, opened the door for me to get into different things and keep me busy from that standpoint.
I want to go back to the social part because you walked right through that really fast and really easy. Like, yeah, I had that all figured out.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest challenges that people do have when they enter into their next 30.
Yeah.
Most people, their social life was work.
Yeah.
How did you figure out that, hey, there's not going to be that, there's going to be something else, and what was it?
And if I can piggyback on that question, because I think it's a really good one, I'm glad you zeroed in on that. I think it is the flaw of modern culture that we have such narrow channels for social engagement that we have no option but to anchor into the people we work with.
agree.
And we have very limited social circles outside of work.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the other reasons why people are left with loneliness when they vacate their career. So I'm sorry for jumping on that, Dale, but what say you to all of that?
Yeah. So for me, the fortunate thing is, I think one of the benefits of being an empty nester when the kids leave the house is you're getting it's almost like you're getting a pilot of what retirement looks like.
Yeah,
from
get
that
to kick the
standpoint.
tires on it.
You kick the tires on it a little bit. And so the things that we had, because a lot of times, Adam, you were mentioning work is one of those things. Well, having kids is another social aspect. That's how you gain a lot of friends because your kids are doing the same thing in sports or in dance or whatever it is. You're gaining those friends too. What I found, though, is basically that once the kids left the nest, which is a good thing, we still had social circles that we could be involved with. So one of the things that we did, and this is, again, where you put yourself out there, is we lead a small group through our church. I mean, we're all the members of the same church. I lead a small group, and we're called The Flock. And it's made up of empty nesters. And now we've been together for 10-plus years. We started out as being empty nesters. We are now all retired now. So we've gone through life together, talking about what retirement's like. What are we going to do? What is everybody going to be involved with? But that was a social thing that we started before retirement that worked for us. Being involved in other things outside of work helped us too. I mean, the most ironic one, the good thing that came out of COVID for us, for my wife and I, was we got to know our neighbors. We moved into this neighborhood about 3 months before COVID hit. And the things we said is, we'll never have as good of friends as we had when we were in the old neighborhood. We'll know these people, but we really won't get to know them that well.
Because that takes time.
It does. It does. COVID forced us into that, though, because we couldn't go anywhere. So we started happy hours in the cul-de-sac every Friday at the start of COVID. We did our 6-foot,
Did you bring out a little fire pit like it's Halloween and
we
all
did.
that?
It was great.
That's great.
It was great. But the thing, again, is we created those friendships.
Yeah.
Because everybody that was in this neighborhood were all the same age group again. Some of us were still working. Some of us had retired. So it was a nice mix, but we were all in that same, age group. And we got to know each other. We got to know what their kids were doing. To the point now is we depend on each other now. I want to say about 4 or 5 of us have had significant health scares, and these neighbors have just stepped up and helped out with whoever is going through whatever. It is just so touching. It's back to the being that we're talking about. These people were doing things for us to help us, but the feelings that they gave us was you felt like a human being again because of the support they gave. So that group is another core group that we've got. So Dale, back to your question is, you've got to look for those things outside of work that you can basically connect yourselves into, either through a hobby or church or whatever it is. Finding those things where you find your tribe and your people that you understand you.
And what's cool about your example about how COVID created this relationship, well, guess what? You really don't need COVID to start a happy hour at the end of your street, do you?
I agree.
You can do that today.
Did you, by the way, did you have little X's where everybody was 6 feet away from each other?
I don't want to go there.
We weren't that,
Sit out there with your mask.
Let me take my mask off. Oh my
Remember
God.
that.
It was
We're all
outside.
6 feet
It
apart.
was.
The shield
It was.
between us is all foggy right now.
Yeah.
The shower curtain.
All right. Oh, memories. Wow.
Yeah.
Bad memories. Bad memories.
Oh,
So I want to get to something because you talked about a number of times that you got out of a comfort zone, that
Yes.
you pushed yourself outside. Even coming on this show
Yeah.
was, I think you called it a nudge.
Yeah.
Why
very much so.
don't you tell us about the nudge?
Yeah, for coming on the show then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you use the nudge, though, in other things.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So talk about the
Absolutely.
show as well as what nudges are to you.
Yeah, so for the show, it's a very different story from that standpoint. So I was a faithful listener of the Aggressive Life podcast, is what it was, and we all know with the church that we went to,
It's okay. We can talk about it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So the person who was the facilitator of that podcast is the pastor of the church that we go to, and he went through a significant event that he was no longer able to do the podcast. Ironically, I stopped working for the church the day that the announcement came out.
Interesting.
It was. We then went to church on Sunday. After church, my wife and I, is the time that we clean the house, is what we do after church. And I always listen to the Aggressive Life podcast when I clean the house, you know. And God said, and this is before I even looked at the podcast, you know, God nudged me and said, you need to listen to this podcast. You need to. I open it up, and there is just the promo of what it is. And like, oh my gosh, I have just recently left my second job here, or doing Retirement 2.0. Here's somebody talking about what do you do when you redirect your life.
And who was that person that you were listening to?
That was Dale.
Dale Tesman.
Yeah, it was amazing.
wow.
But I
I
listened.
did that because I knew I was going to be talking to you.
Is that what it
That's
was?
why I accepted.
God nudged him.
On,
Not true.
God nudged him and say, you got to talk. They can't get on that podcast.
I know.
Not true.
But I listened to the podcast, and it literally stopped me in my tracks. Because you guys were speaking the language that I've been searching for. A lot of times as you transition from the corporate world or whatever it is, the redirect that you're doing, there aren't a lot of other people that go through it with you. They don't understand. You've got spouses and friends and things like that, but a lot of times they don't understand what you're going through. But you guys were speaking the language of redirect. And I had never heard it put that way before, and I was so excited to start listening to the podcast itself. So that was the nudge that happened there, and I started listening to it, you know, some episodes. I'm like, oh my gosh, people are saying the same thing that I'm thinking. And God again nudged me and said, Kent, you need to tell your story because other people need to hear how these changes in life are part of life. It's okay. They're going to happen. But you got to understand how to go through them. Because that's where God is basically telling you, you have a purpose still. It's not because you don't do a 9-to-5 job anymore. He's put you on this earth to do something that he needs to get done. You just got to figure out what it is.
All right. So thank you for sharing that. And you shared with us also that you had some pre-retirement planning. And then you make reference to this Retirement 1.0 and Retirement 2.0. Why don't you talk through that and sort of, I don't know what version I'm on at this point, but tell us what you're thinking about.
Yeah. So in my pre-retirement planning from the corporate world, you know, my wife told me, she said, Kent, you're involved with Crossroads. Why don't you go see what's available there?
Oh, to get your job.
Not a job, just to volunteer more.
Oh,
Just
okay.
volunteer more. I had no intention of working again. And so anyways, I was working with one of the staff people at Crossroads on a volunteer event that was happening in late 2024. It was like August is what it was of 2024 before I retired. And we're finishing up, and she looks at me and says, Kent, I just want to let you know that I'm going to be leaving this role, and we're going to be looking for a new person. And I just said casually, hey, if the new person needs some help, I'm retiring. Let them know I'd be willing to help them out on a volunteer basis kind of thing. 2 days later, I get a call from the pastor and says, Kent, I'd like you to come in. I'd like to talk to you about something. Well, when you get a call from a pastor, there's either two things going on. You know? Yeah. It was, okay, you did something really wrong.
Either you in trouble.
You're in trouble.
Why do we think negative?
I know. I don't know why. You know, it's like going back to the principal's office. You know.
Can Ellen please come to the office?
You know, it's like, yeah.
It's like going to the principal's office when you're a kid.
Exactly. Or it was something else. I had no idea that he was going to offer me the job to take over for this person that was previously in the role. I had no idea. It wasn't even on my radar. So he offered me the job, and I said, well, I need some time to think about this because I had planned, retirement was not working again at all.
So this is how far after you left your career?
Yeah, I was still in my career.
Oh, you're still in your okay.
I was
I'm
in.
sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so I was wrapping up my career. It was probably August, September, and I was
Got it. You
retiring
said
in
that.
December.
Yeah.
So I decided to take the job. Is what I decided to do, and it was only supposed to be 20 hours a week. And I'm like, I can handle that. I don't have things too much going on. I think I can handle that. It turned into 40 to 60 hours a week during certain seasons. Oh, the first season that happened was in the spring, and it was, I think the word I've used before is tumultuous, is what it was.
It's a very busy time there.
Oh, it was just crazy. Well, it's go day is what it was. You guys are all familiar with that. I got done with that. And my wife, who had been married to almost 40 years at that point, she said to me, Kent, you neglected me during that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for her to say something.
Good for her.
Fair
As
plain
opposed to
language.
holding it. Yeah,
yeah.
Those sound like exact words.
They were. Yeah, they still, the words still hurt me today, the way that I hit. And I said, oh my gosh, I did. I was so focused on the doing because I was new to the role. I didn't know what I was doing, trying to figure out everything out. When you work for a church, there aren't a lot of the systems that you're used to in the corporate world. They do things by brute force is what they do. And I was doing 100%. So I came to the realization I cannot continue to do this. So I had conversations with people, and they said, well, honestly, Kent, we're thinking of making this a full-time position now.
Wait a second.
What?
So how many hours do I work then?
Yeah.
This was 20 hours originally,
Right.
and you were probably doing 60.
60
right?
at some points. Yeah.
Now they're going to make it full time.
They're going to make it full-time.
80
to know.
hours.
Glad
Yeah.
to know. What is full time to you guys?
I didn't want to know. So there was no discussion whatsoever. It was, guys, no.
Hard pass.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that. I want to do so much different things than this. And I was doing too much doing. I wasn't enough being.
So does that migrate us into this other topic that we have on the list to talk about is margin?
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
Take us into that.
Yeah, so the things that I'm learning in 2.0, Retirement 2.0. So I left the ministry world at the end of February. I've learned three things from that, and one of those is margin. Margin talks about different things from the aspect of financial, obviously, your time, and your health. So from a time aspect, I was finding I was doing all the time. There was 0% being whatsoever. I was missing out on things. Missing out on really enjoying like grandkids' birthdays. I was being there, but I really wasn't being there. I was thinking about other things going on. So that margin of time is there, of actually not scheduling yourself to the nth degree when you are in retirement or doing your redirect.
So let's illustrate this or give some clarity on the word margin. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about profit margins.
No.
We're not talking about margarine.
No.
We're talking
Butter.
about,
We're talking about butter.
We're not talking about Marge coming over.
Yeah. We're talking about the concept. Imagine a book or a notepad, and you had space to write in the margin off the printed page.
Right.
Let's imagine holding space for free thinking.
Right.
And then in time management, it's not letting your entire page, your entire schedule be completely consumed, whether that's literally tasks or cognitively being able to be where you are, be where your hands are, as one of my friends says. Right. So that idea of holding space for spontaneity,
Yep.
holding space for relationships,
Yep.
holding space for relaxation and rest. Those are all things that are very important.
Right.
And so the idea of not letting everything be consumed by doing
Right.
is that the context of what you're using margin for.
Absolutely. Because in Retirement 1.0, my calendar was full, completely full. And that was not my intent going into retirement. I just didn't want to be working again. So that was the margin that I've learned now. As I'm now doing Retirement 2.0 is I'm creating that margin. So Wednesday afternoons, I'm going to visit the grandson, who still lives in town here. That's my time. I don't schedule nothing. I don't do nothing. I just head over to Wyoming and we spend time together.
Do you physically put that in your calendar?
Yes. And I
So
will
that
not.
nothing else gets it.
Nothing else gets in there. And I protect that. So that's the key thing is you want to schedule the being times. You want to make sure that you've got the times there that you protect, that nobody else can come into, so you can go and do the things you want to do. Mornings, I know that's my working time. So whether it's work with the foundation or it's the work with my consulting or anything else I'm doing, that time in the morning, that's my working time.
Is that considered like office time kind of thing?
Office hours is what it would be.
And that's probably because you're better in the morning and doing
Absolutely.
those types of things.
That's a very good point. Yep. Yeah. So one of the things I did realize is, in my corporate time is my mornings is my thinking time. That's where I'm my sharpest. That's where I can do things, strategic, looking at things, visionary, those kind of things. Where afternoons I lose my energy, and that's where I reserve for administrative type things. So I've kind of carried that over into my redirect time. Mornings are where I do this heavy thinking work, those kind of things. The afternoons are spontaneous things I want to do. Do I want to go do my house things I do around the house? I love to do-it-yourself projects, things like that. My wife and I will go take a hike someplace. It's just free form.
I think this would be a good time to take a quick break. If you're enjoying our show, we'd be incredibly grateful if you could take a moment to comment. And if you like what you're hearing, leave us a 5-star review. Your feedback not only makes our day, but helps other listeners discover our content. Your support through listening, sharing, following, and reviewing means the world to us and helps our podcast grow. Thanks so much for being part of the Redirect family. So let's now get back to our conversation. Decisions you make just kind of in the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
So, as you heard earlier, I'm really struggling with this, and I'm learning a lot from what you're saying. You're helping me big time. Oh. So, the spontaneous time, do you actually put in your calendar from 1 to 3, I'm going to be spontaneous?
No, I don't. I'm not that anal.
Well, I am.
That's oxymoronic.
I know.
I'm going to schedule spontaneity as
Well, no, we have planned spontaneity parties because it's fun. Go ahead.
I got a story with that. Back in college, my best friend and I, we were the leaders of our fraternity. And we were having a meeting one time, and the chapter got mad at us. They're like, we don't do enough fun things around the fraternity. We're like, what are you talking about? Yes, they said, well, we want to have more planned spontaneity in things that we do. And we just kind of looked at each other and went, really?
Yeah, I have those parties. I invite a whole group of people that don't know one another to
those
come
are
together
great.
to our house.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they're like, oh, I thought it was a one-off party. No.
surprise.
You're here with
Yeah.
40 other people. Get to know them.
Right.
It's a planned spontaneity party. I love
that's
it.
great.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now I want to get back. I want to get into this doing and being thing. All right. I did a little research, and so I'm going to sort of define what I found out was the focus for being and doing. So in doing, the focus is achieving goals, solving problems, crossing items off the to-do list. I think we can all agree with that.
check.
You got it. You're checking the list. The being mode is direct, immediate experience, mindfulness, and just noticing what is happening in the present moment.
Yeah.
So you have gone from doing to being. What were the kickers to lessen the doing to increase the being? What was the consciousness effort that you did? Now, you've explained some of these things calendar-wise, but internally, how did you stop the beast of the corporate world from doing to become the person of being?
Yeah, I think one of the kickers is what my wife said to me. I think that, a lot of times we need those significant emotional events that tell us you're not on the right track. You need to get off it. So I think that was one of the kickers where I really went mindfulness and said, okay, the person I've spent my life with is telling me I neglect. And she has never said that in her entire life. Never. Even though I traveled with work, she understood it. But this time it was like, you neglected me. So that was one of them.
Yeah.
This being and doing, I'll give you an example of it, of why the two have to work in harmony. So I'm not saying that I'm 100% being now. I still have to do. The doing creates the being, is what it does. So I'll give you an example of it. We went to Hocking Hills a couple of weeks ago. And if you guys have ever been there,
Beautiful place.
it's a beautiful place.
Crazy.
Yes. My wife, it was the first time she'd ever been there. As you know, there are 4 or 5 rock formations that you go and visit, is what it is. You have to hike in to get to wherever it's at. That's the doing. But once you get there, my favorite is Ash Cave. Walking in and seeing the how huge it is. These little, people look this big, like an inch high when you look at it. If you didn't do the doing to get to it, you could never experience
Being there.
being there and really seeing the wonder of God right before you.
That's an amazing visual. You do what you have to do to get to where you can be.
Right.
That's awesome. That's a great visual. It's not just exactly what that incident was, but it's like life. That's how you can apply doing and being.
Right.
I just had a moment when we went to the moon, and everything that took place to get those astronauts there, and then all of a sudden they see the Earth or this Earth rise over the moon, and it's this moment that even takes them to, oh my gosh, just live in this, stop everything else and take it in and be focused.
Right.
Be here.
Be here.
Yeah.
Even this kind of environment, this is a being, is what it is. But we had to prep for it. We had to do to get to this moment. So that's why they almost have to be in balance, is what they are.
Why is being important?
Back to what at the beginning, because you feel human, is what it is. And I think those are the points where God touches you and says, this is why you are here on earth, to see and to feel life as it is, the good parts of life, and then the impact you can have on that life.
If I met you at a bar and we just kind of snuggle up to the bar and we're both having a beer and
be a bourbon.
It
would be a bourbon. Okay.
I said,
I'm old now.
Good choice.
Ken, I hear you're really good at being. Tell me how to do that.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Yeah, I'd say use all the senses that you have and notice the little things. I talked about Ash Cave. That's big. Yep. But do you ever notice, if you've got grandkids, when a grandchild touches your hand and grabs your hand, oh my gosh, that is being, is what that is. And not just dishing it off of, he's just holding my hand. It's like they trust you so much and they're connected with you. They're in your DNA and they reach out to you. That is being. That's where you really, truly feel it. That really happens.
And they want to bring you somewhere.
Oh,
they grab your hand.
Absolutely.
There's that moment. And I'm living this a lot these days. I love it.
Yeah.
But they want to show you.
Yes.
They want to bring you into their being.
Yes.
And you got to be there.
Well, that's the interesting aspect of that. Think about it as a child. They're seeing things for the first thing. They're experiencing things for the first thing that we see every single day. Like the mail truck comes. Well, it's here at 3 o'clock. Imagine the first time they see it, a mail truck coming up. Those are the things that you have to start noticing just to be in the moment, to really see the grandeur of it.
As a guy who's still working, I think where my being gets interrupted, and you guys, I think, can all relate to this, while you were in your career, when you were off on Saturday and you went to the birthday party, and your time is scheduled for the birthday party, but you're not at the birthday party.
Because you're defragging from the previous week.
Yeah.
And contemplating how do I solve that problem that I know is still lingering from yesterday,
That's
Friday.
Sunday to me,
Yeah. And how do I address it on Monday? And all of you're still cognitively working on, the problems that you faced throughout the week. You're not really there.
Yeah.
Does that speak to this idea of being?
It does. And I think as I got later in my career, I started seeing that going on, and I started to make that switch. I found in the corporate world, obviously, you've got the words of, we got to make a profit, or we got to hit costs, or whatever the goal is.
KPIs.
The KPIs.
Shareholder supremacy.
Exactly, is what it is. I found that being with people and helping people develop in their careers was more impactful to me than trying to hit those goals. I just got a thrill out of that.
Yeah.
So when we talk about there's the problems that are going on, the word that I had to learn was delegation. That was the thing I really had to learn how to do. I had to trust the people that work for me, which I had to learn. It didn't come overnight. But once I found that and I trusted the people that I work with, I could be more being as what I was. I didn't have to worry about that problem because I gave it to somebody I trust. And they're going to solve it, and they're going to take care of it. And I'm still going to be able to guide them through whatever they're going through to solve that problem. That was the mind shift change that I made, was you can't do it all. You can't work mentally on the weekends and keep rehashing it out. You got to start using the people around you, and that's the being part of it, where you start learning what other people can do.
So that's advice for a younger person that's in the middle of the work world.
Right.
And what we do on the podcast is create awareness. So first of all, let's get awareness to you right now, younger people that are busy with families, busy with kids going to various sporting events, which are all doing things, even though you're being with your kids, is then to create this awareness of I've got to be.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're in 3 months into Redirect 2, which, by the way, looks really calm, doesn't he? I mean,
I'm highly recommend
he's
it.
chilled. Unlike me, but he's
highly
chilled.
recommend it.
What percentage are you now of being to doing or doing to be?
And is even that the right way to frame the question?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I don't know if there's a true number that you want to put on
you
that.
said you have to have both.
You got to have both.
So where are you now in that scale, would you say?
Yeah, I'm probably 60 doing, 40 being.
Wow.
Is where I'm at.
So you're still dominant doing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very
Well,
much so.
balance isn't perfectly balanced.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
60-40 might be perfectly balanced.
Right.
Because I still have to cut the grass. I got to do the laundry.
Exactly.
I got to pay bills.
Right.
All the
Right.
stuff you have to do. Goodness, if you were to break it down by hours, I'm alive 176 hours a week. I'm awake for whatever, 120 of those or something. Doesn't mean I can spend perfectly 50% of my time being. So 60-40 sounds amazing.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it from that aspect.
And doing's not a bad thing. We got to keep at it. Let's be
agree.
clear about that. You gotta act,
right?
And everything that the church we're in, everything that we just revels the idea of, hey, you can act, move, grow,
right.
That's all part of doing.
So in the research that I did, I found this one thing underneath each, and here's the risks for both. All right. So the risk for doing leads to burnout, anxiety, a feeling of being on autopilot if you get locked into this state all the time. Okay?
I get that.
Yep.
Being, the risk for that is if taken to an extreme, it can lead to stagnation or a lack of forward momentum.
Yeah, 100% agree.
But you've enlightened me to, and I had a conversation earlier this week with somebody because I knew we were doing this episode, and I just sort of bounced stuff off of him, and I'm like, you brought up the example of working with people and you were being with them. That is so true.
Yeah.
That you're doing a task, whatever your role is, volunteer, family, whatever. Right. But while that task is going on, what are the being moments that you want to have come out of that?
Yes. Right.
Relationship.
Right.
Encouragement. Planning the next thing so that you can grow upon this so that then the being becomes bigger than the doing.
Right.
Yeah, I've learned a lot from this one.
So would you say that now being is directing your doing?
That's a good question.
I like that.
I don't know if consciously it is, but I wonder if it's subconsciously.
I wonder if that going 60-40 makes being the director for what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Rather than pretty much in our career doing allowed for being, if at all.
Yeah.
I think another way to consider that, Dale, is maybe the focus should be for everyone to be a human being.
Yeah.
Like, always remember your purpose. Always remember the cause. Always remember why. Look, I enjoy the doing. I enjoy it. But the doing is not it's not my purpose in life. I really like my job, but it's not my purpose in life is doing what I'm doing. And so maybe, is it true, this is more of a question than a statement, is it true that you do what you have to do so you can be what you want to, who you want to be?
Yeah.
Be where you want to be.
Sounds like the Army.
I was just going to say,
Sounds like a commercial I've heard.
Be more than you can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
To follow up with that, as you were saying that, Adam, I had this thing. We all know the to-do list. So when you look at your to-do list and your to-do list has got 10 items on it, why don't you do the next page to say to-be list?
To-be list, right.
What's your to-be list?
Wow.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Because I am driven by the to-do list.
This is trademarked, guys. You
And
cannot
I
use that phrase.
cross, we just, legal's already working on it. We're patenting it. It's going to be a whole workbook. On all kinds, financial, social.
Okay, so I can see it now. Getting things being.
Yeah. And I'm gonna ask now, how are you being? But seriously, I think because I have that to-do list, and that to me is the pat on the back.
Yeah.
That's the reinforcement. Check,
Yeah.
cross it off. And my wife says, let's create a big list of all the things we want to do around the house. Look at all the things we got done.
Yeah.
There's a reward. There's a cognitive reward for that.
Yeah, but here's the being with that. I was with my wife that whole time, and we were doing things together.
Exactly.
So create the to-be list of what you want to do that's going to correspond with each of the to-dos.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, we got something big here.
I think we're onto something.
You've got 2 columns. You've got lines going back and forth.
Yeah.
with
Got some
both,
red yarn.
but yeah.
Well, there's always a red line. You know that.
So final recommendations for our audience.
I think the key thing is, talking about purpose. In retirement or redirect, you think you have to do something grandiose. I've got all this time now. I'm gonna solve world hunger is what it is. The mantra that I've kind of come out of it for my redirect phase of my life now is something I learned when I was working for the church. I was in the community reach out, and I heard all these stories of, we do all these big volunteer events, but it was a story of the one individual that really got impacted by it. So I came up with this mantra for the church as I was doing this, calling it moving the many to impact the one. Now that I've gone into retirement 2.0, I thought God was telling me, hey, that's what you're learning there. Go do it for them. But he actually opened the door and says, this is your purpose in redirect. Whatever it is, the filter you use is, are you moving your many minutes? Are you moving many dollars? Are you moving your skills? Is it going to impact that one person? And that's the being aspect of it. So that's how I look at everything of whatever I'm doing. How am I impacting that one individual that I'm going to be doing things with?
Awesome.
Ken, thank you
pleasure.
for going out of your comfort zone and reaching out to us to say, hey, I got some ideas that I want to share with you, and I want to tell you my story on the Redirect Podcast. Thank you for contacting us at where, Adam?
info@redirect-u.com.
And it's been a pleasure meeting you and working up to this moment, and especially having you here today. Thank you for making me see some things and realizing that I am a human being.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.
We are honored to have you.
Oh,
so
I was honored to be here.
Thank
Humbled.
you. Thanks for listening to that podcast that got you
Oh,
here.
it was amazing.
So happy. So
Thank you, Kent. Awesome. I think it's going to really help a lot of people. And thanks for joining us on the Redirect Podcast.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Redirect Podcast. We would like to thank the University of Cincinnati 1819 Innovation Hub for allowing us to record our episodes at the eSports Innovation Lab recording studio. Don't forget to tell your friends about the Redirect Podcast and have them follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Instagram. Want more information? Do you have a question for Curt, Dale, or Adam? Or would you like us to consider a topic that interests you for a future podcast? Send us an email at info@redirect-u.com. Remember, the journey isn't over. It's just redirecting. There's purpose in your life. Find it and do something about it. Hey, I've got one more comment. The Redirect Podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We engage in an open, honest conversations about personal growth, life transitions, and the lessons we've learned through our own experiences. While we speak as experts in our own lives, we are not licensed therapists, medical professionals, or certified coaches. The content shared on the Redirect Podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the guidance of qualified professionals for any physical, mental, or emotional concerns that you may have. We're grateful to share this space with you and hope that our stories inspire reflection and connection. If you're in need of more support, we encourage you to connect with a trusted professional who can help.